everybody. This is Patty. Welcome to the witching hour. Yes, that hour of the day when the veil is thin and magic happens. I have some beautiful magic for you today. Some tasty magic for you today. The one and only Amy Bruni. You know her. She's a paranormal investigator. She's an author. She's a podcaster. She is truly one of the first ladies of the paranormal, starting way back with Ghost Hunters in 2007 and now with Kindred Spirits. And I'm thrilled to finally have her on the show. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so nice to see you. I feel like we see each other so often at events and things, but I've never done your show. So here I
I
am.
never
It's
done my show,
happening.
and we pass in the wind. It's like, hi, you're going over here, and I'm going over here, and then
They're always so busy. There's so many faces that I love, and I'm always like, I would like to stop and talk to you, but there's never that moment.
there's never that moment. There is never that moment.
Mhm.
And if you stop, and then everybody's going to gather around and what.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
anyway, perfect timing for first having you on. And I do want to talk about your paranormal stuff and how you got here. But I am excited because I just got in the mail this amazing cookbook. It's like a
Yes.
coffee table book. It's beautiful. Food to die for. This is the one book I think I will put out in my kitchen.
Yes,
So tell us about this.
So I obviously I love ghosts. I've been working in the ghostly world for a very long time. What a lot of people don't know is I love to cook. And so I was like, how do I bring my loves together? Food, wine, and ghosts. And so I came up with the idea for Food to Die For. And it's been years in the making. I was inspired by many years ago, the Fall River Historical Society posted a photo of Lizzie Borden's recipe card for her meatloaf recipe.
Wow.
And like it was her handwriting and everything. And she's like, Lizzie's meatloaf. And I thought, do people actually make that? Like, what happens if you make that? So, um, and they just kind of snowballed from there. I started researching recipes from haunted locations. And before you know it, I had enough for a book.
Wow. Because really, and just going through it, it's like all the hot spots. Like, oh, there is that. Oh, there's Hotel Down. Oh, there's Virginia City. Oh, you go to all the places that we as paranormal people go to, the places everybody wants to go to the events. And then you find weird things like sugar cookies from Alcatraz.
Yeah, yeah. And so that was kind of like some of them, like there's stories, like the sugar cookies, for example, those were made by like the Alcatraz Wives Association or something. It was like the warden's wife. And so they would make them for the employees and for the inmates. And I got it from like they actually made a little cookbook like back in the 50s. And so, yeah, I found things like that were just so interesting. And honestly, like obviously there's the recipes are in there, but each recipe has 2 or 3 pages of history and haunted stories and everything. So even if you're not a chef, like this book, as long as you're into ghosts and spooky things and true crime and history, this book's for you.
Yeah, no, it is. It is stories. It's spooky stories. It's fabulous stories about, again, all like the major places uh, all over the Conjuring House. You have recipes from the freaking Conjuring
Yeah,
House.
Andrea Perrin actually gave me that recipe from her family personally. It was her mom's recipe. Yeah.
That is amazing. I mean, now before we go cook these, do we have to do a cleanse of our kitchen?
I
Maybe.
know, maybe. So the fun thing about the book, well, there's a number of fun things about it, but it's this kind of mix of like historical recipes, some of which you may or may not want to make. They're kind of like, like the Nutriloaf from Eastern State Penitentiary is something that you might not want to make, but who knows? But then some of them are also like really delicious and really great. Like I would say there's probably like 15% historical and maybe not, and then the rest are all just delightful. But there are a few that I feel like could trigger paranormal activity, like if you were making them like in the place that they originated from. Like one of the recipes is from the Sealy Rose House in Ohio, which it's for smear case, which is basically cottage cheese, which again, not something everybody wants to make, but she poisoned her whole family using this recipe plus poison.
She
So like,
did?
oh yeah, so I feel like if you took that recipe and made it in the Sealy Rose house, you might get activity. So who knows?
I think so, because everything, as we know, everything has an energy to it. The
Mhm.
history of something counts to that energy and how the experience of it. What I see is a theme party in the making, a big
Oh, yeah.
potluck or
Actually,
something.
in the back, actually, there are full menus that we made. Sorry, I have to get through. There's a lot of sources cited in this book, but in the back, there's like a whole, like, it's called Meals to Die For. And we put together menus for like a Civil War feast, a ghost town grub, a toothsome turn of the century gala, a last meal luncheon, like little theme parties with, So yeah, I think definitely you could have a theme party with some of
Yeah.
these meals. Yes.
I, I'm the queen of potlucks. It's okay. Okay, you make the deathly whatever, and you make the this, and you make the that. Fourth of July is coming. Maybe.
I know, right? Exactly.
Ah, so how you, again, you truly are one of the most beloved first ladies, legitimate, amazing people. How did you fall into the paranormal weird world of ours?
I truly fell into it. It's something I'd had an interest in forever. I grew up, my dad was kind of an amateur paranormal investigator. And then once he saw that I was really into ghosts and stuff, he just used it as an excuse to take me to historical places and tell me they were haunted, right? But it was an interest that never waned. And, I even like as I was an adult, I was investigating, I was part of paranormal teams, I was doing like research on team dynamics and stuff. And I was producing a paranormal podcast at the time, Taps Family Radio, actually, years ago, because one of the teams I was on was actually in the Taps family, which Taps is like the ghost hunters team.
Yeah.
And so Jay and Grant from Ghost Hunters asked me to help produce their radio show they were working on at the time called Beyond Reality Radio. And so I helped them produce that from across the country because I lived in California at the time. So they came out to film in California and they asked if I would come help out with them. And I was like, sure. And then I just never went home again. I was, I was on the road with them for like 7 years. And then Adam and I started Kindred Spirits. And so I've been doing paranormal television for like 15 years at this
Yeah.
point. And I'm just always looking because I love the paranormal so much. Like I'm actually like deeply just kind of indebted to it. And like it's important for me to always be like legitimate and truthful and respectful of the paranormal. And at the same time, I'm always trying to find, because I want it to be a part of my life forever. I'm always trying to find interesting ways to like keep it that way. So I'm like, I have a podcast and I wrote another book and now I have this book and I have a paranormal travel company. And it's not necessarily because I'm trying to get rich, because that's not happening. It's just so that I can keep like making some sort of living off of this because I love it so much.
Yeah, no, me too. I absolutely love it, and it's not going away, no matter what the trends of everything, because
Mm-mm.
more and more paranormal activity is happening. I truly believe the veil is thinning between the worlds, and where people, even non-believers, are like seeing stuff that happened. It's just, as we move into age of Aquarius or whatever it is. And I think a lot of people are discover that, when fear gets based, people either go back to church or religion, or
Mhm.
they want to know there's something more. A lot of people don't want that, and but they want to know there's something more. So let's get into ghost hunting. Let's get into
Yeah.
paranormal investigation, because to know that if I get knocked off by Russia or whatever, there's something. And then we go to these conventions, and they're getting more and more people backdooring into rediscovering their faith or their religion or spirituality or witchcraft or anything like that, because, like, oh yeah, this is real, I'm okay, so let me find something to navigate it. So it's opening minds.
I do. I feel like this is really terrible to say, but just historically, if you study, the paranormal and kind of its origins and when it's popular, it's always in times of turmoil,
Mhm.
usually, like after the Civil War or after Vietnam. And like for us right now, I think it's after COVID. And then also in addition, just the whole country's in turmoil all the time right now. We're very much on the brink of something. And I think that's when people start like just soul searching a lot more. They're really thinking about like the afterlife and their own mortality. And, like you were saying, just kind of like what happens next. And that's always when interest in the paranormal
Yeah.
skyrockets.
Yeah. And it is. I see it more and more
Mhm.
people. I do like little house clearings and stuff, and it's like I've never had to do so many house clearings, whether it's Aaron Spelling's mansion or
Yeah.
Phil Spector's castle or just the little the little Hollywood bungalow next door.
Mhm.
Um, Paranormal's here.
Yeah. It always has
Um,
been, always will be.
yeah, and I think some of us it is in our blood. You're super gifted. You don't talk about it much, but you're super intuitive and super gifted. I see how much that is. So again, maybe that's why you always had an interest. I grew up West Coast. I'm still in LA, and literally my high school prom was on the Queen Mary. I snuck
Oh,
away from the
nice.
prom to get down to the pool to see the
Yeah.
ghosts. And
Oh, yeah.
that's
Oh,
in high school. It's like yeah,
yeah,
wherever
exactly. I
gets.
know my yearbooks from high school, like people called me like the ghost girl and stuff. And even then, I was a little goth in those days, but now I've gone full New England preppy.
Well, it's fabulous look on you, and your book's kind of gothy. This is kind of very
Oh, yeah,
gothic.
I told them, so the book, like I said, specifically, like they asked me like what I wanted it to look like, and I was like, I want it to look like witchy and like colonial and dark, and like we did these mood boards. And so then this design team came along, and like they had food stylists, chef, photographers. Took them 5 days in a studio in Tennessee, and they cooked every single recipe. Like we had to recipe test every single recipe before that even. But they cooked every single recipe, and they took just these beautiful photos that I would frame and put on my wall. Really, they're that gorgeous, and I can't take credit for it. Like they just did an amazing job. The design team killed it, and they would send me the dailies every day of that shoot, and I was like in tears every night, just being like, "Oh my gosh, they have like nailed my vision! Like this, just
Yeah,
like so
yeah.
beautiful."
It is. It's like when we first saw it. It's like a coffee table book. This is
Yeah.
one that you leave on the counter on the coffee table because it's
Hmm.
the artwork, and again going with the stories, going with the message, beautifully done and so different, so different.
I'm always trying to think outside the box, you know?
Ah, So what do you think? What do any of these locations or recipes themselves stand out as like special to your heart or scary to your heart or anything like that?
There's a few, like some okay, so what's so interesting is so my mom died in 2018, and she always made this Caesar salad recipe. Like
Um,
she made a Caesar salad all the time. It was her thing, but none of us knew how to make it. And when she died, she took that recipe with her. And so I just remember thinking, like, we've tried to recreate it so many times, my siblings and I. And so at one point, I was making the Caesar salad because, like I said, we tested every one of these recipes. So I was making the Caesar salad from the Sheboygan Asylum. So what's interesting, the Sheboygan Asylum, there's this boy whose family ran it for so long, for years. He grew up there. He grew up going in the kitchen and watching them cook and everything for all of the patients and whatnot. And he became a chef because of that. So his Caesar salad recipe is in the book, and I made it, and I was like, "Holy this is my mom's Caesar salad!" Like it just like instantly, I was like, "Oh my gosh, we've got it! Like this is it!" Like it tasted exactly like her Caesar salad recipe. So that one is special to my heart. Although my mom always said that whatever the recipe calls for, like if the recipe calls for garlic, you always put 4 times as much garlic as the recipe calls for. So, um, but that one in particular, and then there's just some that just have like amazing stories to go with them, like, oh, I actually should mention though, if you've been to Gettysburg, I'm sure you have, the peanut soup from the Farnsworth house. Like everyone is always like, when you go to the Farnsworth house, you have to have the peanut soup.
right.
And like the first time I was there, I was like, that does not sound very good. But then I tried it and it is so good. And so that recipe is in here too. And that's the one my family probably requests the most, surprisingly. Like we'll just make that with like a salad and crunchy bread for dinner. And it's great, especially in the winter. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't put peanut and soup together, but
No, definitely not. But yeah, they called it goober pea soup. That was the historical name for peanuts, was goober pea. So, but yeah, there's a number. I could go on and on about all of the like the every one was I picked very special. I've investigated probably 80% of these places myself. A lot of these recipes were given to me directly by the locations. So yeah, they're all pretty special.
That is beautiful. Um, is there, again, since you've been doing this a long time, is there a location that you actually wouldn't go back to?
Um, I'm trying to think. I don't think so. There's a couple like houses, like the families there that I would not want to interact with again. Yeah.
That's
You know,
different. I
it
mean,
kind of goes back to the idea that living people are much scarier than dead ones, and I've definitely had a few moments with family members or the people that we were going to help that I was like, this person might not be safe, so there's a couple of those ones. But like from a paranormal standpoint, I don't think so. Like I would definitely go at a different time, maybe. Like I remember when I investigated Mackinac Island the first time. We were there in January, which I do not recommend. I don't recommend going to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan on an island in the middle of one of the Great Lakes in January. So
yeah, cold does it in. These places are never air conditioned. These old
no.
prisons, these old. I'm a Southern California girl. Anything below 72, I'm freezing. It's like really,
Oh,
Wisconsin and Michigan in winter. It's like
I know. I live in a 300-year-old house and there's no air conditioning here. And so like when it gets warm in the summer, I have to like put the window units in and stuff. But I grew up in California where everything is air conditioned.
everything is air conditioned and
Yeah.
mild anyway. If it
Yeah,
wasn't, yeah.
exactly.
That's amazing. So what is next? Because you've done this for quick, and everybody, what even like you said, if you're not a chef, you want this book. If you like the paranormal and you want to learn about these amazing places, and then go wild. I'm not a chef, though I've been on Master Chef and I won an award from Betty Crocker. It's weird, but I'm a better witch. I just pretend to be a chef. But I'm going to try things and I will let you know. So you guys, whether you think you're a great chef or not, try this book, these recipes. Uh, And and besides, the pictures are so pretty. Not Thai. How pretty is that?
I
Ah,
know, that's from a local place too. That's from, Rough Point in Newport, Rhode Island, which is kind of a secretly haunted place. They don't really talk about their hauntings, but I live here and I go in there enough that they've told me all their secrets, and so they didn't tell me I couldn't write about it, so
there you go. Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
that's
Um,
my mantra.
yeah. Yeah, mine too. So I know we're going to see each other very, very soon at Michigan Paracon.
Mhm.
What's some of the stuff that you have coming up that
I
people
have
can
so
come
so I have,
see?
a lot coming up actually. So I just wrapped on a new show that will be coming out in the fall. I can't talk about details or anything, but people are always like, "When are you coming back to TV?" And I'm like, "Very soon." Um, I have a fall speaking tour. Like if anybody wants to find out where I'm going to be, they can just go to amybruni.com and everything is on there. I have this new thing called the Paranormal Circle, which is like a paranormal membership program, basically, where it's just this whole corner of the internet where we do live streaming investigations. We have 24/7 webcams set up. We have webcams set up in haunted locations. I should be specific. We have online chats and like tomorrow. I mean, this is coming out next week, but like tomorrow night, for example, I'm going to be at the Mount Washington Hotel live streaming for the Circle members. So it's really fun. They get discounts to all sorts of events, including Michigan Paracon. I just wanted like a corner of the web where no one was judgy, everyone was weird, and they can all be my friends.
Oh,
So
I like that.
yeah,
I like that. So
yeah,
find her corner. Nobody
yes,
judging.
yeah, exactly.
So when you go, yeah, there's not any place that I don't think I wouldn't go either. And yes, living humans are much scarier than
Yeah,
spirits. Ah,
yeah.
do you have any? Everybody I've worked with, from the Ghost Adventure guys to Jack, everybody has their own different techniques of protection or belief system. Do you have your own thing that you go in and you know you're going to be safe going out?
I don't. I honestly, like, I used to wonder, like, should I say a prayer? Should I bring a crystal? Should I? And then I just realized one day I was like, these are things that I could forget or I could lose. And then I would instantly feel more vulnerable if I didn't do this thing that I've put so much power in. So I just always I go into every investigation just knowing that I am enough. Like I am strong enough. I always try to go in of like in a good space mentally and physically, of course. Mostly just so I can like really be my best investigator at that time, but also, I don't even entertain the notion that I need protection from any of this. It's like it's worked for me this far, so I'm going to stick with it. But I totally
Yeah.
understand when people do protect themselves in some way. It makes them feel better, but I just choose not to.
Yeah. No, I have my own little ritual thing, but I do since I was a kid, I was seeing them since I was a little. I just always had this belief system that this is our realm of existence. They
Mhm.
really can't hurt us unless we give them our power.
Right.
People don't know better and they give them their power all the time, fear and anger, unless you're a little crazy or have an addiction problem. It's like, nope, my world. You have to play in my world. And since I was probably before school age, believe that. And it's always stood true for me. I will do things like close down this portal over here, do a little Palo Santo as needed, just to
Yeah.
keep things clear. But that's a beautiful philosophy to have because I do think we are enough. We are the best. We are the best ghost detector. We are the best protection. We are us.
Yes. And I set those boundaries like I would with any living person. If I'm like in a place and I feel like, I mean, I'm not like psychic or anything, but I kind of can
Yeah,
get a
you are.
vibe here and there. And
You
I'll
are.
be like, I know people say that, but I feel like I'm psychic as a rock. But but I feel like if I feel as though something might or someone might be wanting to come along, I usually am like, no, you stay here. And I point it out like, I know we had a conversation and I know that this has been like a great night and like, but like I'm going home, you're staying here. Don't be weird. And then I feel like they're like a normal living person who's like, oh,
Yeah.
I just made it awkward, didn't I? So like they stay. So I try to set those boundaries. But as though it was a living person standing right in front of me, overstepping their boundaries. And I do think they have the emotion to like kind of stop themselves and go, "Oh yeah, this is true. Why am I doing this?"
Yeah, I agree whole percent. Because in a sense, that's going in with respect too,
Mhm.
like it's a regular person. And to me, that's the only time I've ever got in trouble or got see people get in trouble is when there is no respect and when there is
Yeah,
something things go awry. But I think that's a perfect way to do it. I'm going, you stay here. Okay, thanks,
exactly.
goodbye. You
We have
believe
an
it, you're
agreement, right?
intent.
Listen, you've been
Yeah,
doing great till now. You stay here.
you stay here. Yeah. And like, oops, there's slight exceptions to the rule, but not really.
Mm-mm.
Not really. I'm being psychic, and I know you are psychic. I'm just going to tell you, you are super, super psychic. You just overthink a little. You have
I
that left brain,
overthink
right brain.
everything. Yeah.
You overthink. You have this beautiful, intuitive thought. You have a knowing about you. I think that's why you even like the paranormal. You just have it, but you just throw it over to that logical side, and which kind of stuffs it down a little bit. Give me 5 minutes of your time. I can get you past that with a glass of water by the side of your bed at night. I can get you.
Oh, see, maybe that next time I see you, you can open up my my
I
third
will open
eye.
that up because you're super sensitive. You're super sensorial, right? How we're affected by sight, smell, taste, music. We all are affected by that color, but you're super sensitive, right?
Yeah, I am sensitive to
I
my
s-
surroundings and people, and, like, if the vibe is off, I am not comfortable. And so,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's one of the reasons why the cookbook, like, I love the idea of transporting back, like and I think everyone can relate to this, like, smells and taste are, like, 2 of our most powerful senses, and I'm highly affected by those, like, I can smell, like, my mom's perfume, for example, and be like, "My mom is here," like and
yeah,
it's the same thing with smells, like, if you're making a special recipe or something, like, you're just instantly transported back to that. So, yeah, I am very susceptible to outside senses, I guess.
yeah. That's what I see, and that's the gift. It's just
Mhm.
allowing it to come in more. That's clairvoyance, clairgustance, clairsentience, all the little clair words. But that's exactly what I see that you definitively have. You have
Mm.
a nice clear aura. You just haven't put your focus there. You have to shush that little logical brain sometimes.
It's too logical.
um Anyway, well, I am excited to go make a recipe. I'm going to try not to burn down the kitchen. My husband doesn't usually let me in the kitchen, especially with
Ah!
anything like fire or pots or pans, but I'm going to do it anyway. I haven't figured out which one, but you guys
There's some
check
in there that are good starters.
what one.
Depends on what you like. Like the sugar cookies are very easy. It's very hard to burn down your house making the sugar
I
cookies.
like cookies.
And yes, cookies are delicious. I'm looking to see what other like good, easy ones there are. I'm not even I lost the table of contents. What there it is.
It's in the beginning usually.
Usually you would think, right? There's a few, like I love the potato soup from the Copper Queen Hotel in Bisbee, Arizona. That is so good. There's a couple really great cocktail recipes in there. Ernest Hemingway's Bloody Mary is really good. Um, Let me see what else is in here. The Puritan pudding from the John Proctor House. They're not all desserts, but I love sweets.
I love
Um,
sweets and
yeah,
cocktails.
yeah, and I love sweets and cocktails. I I can't imagine why I keep putting on weight. But the Puritan pudding is very easy to make, and that's a recipe from like the 1600s, and it's great. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, the apple pie from the Belvoir Winery, the Oddfellows apple pie. Oh, and then one that was like the sleeper hit when they were doing the shoot and everything was Mary Todd Lincoln's white almond cake. It's actually on the cover. That's Mary Todd
Ooh,
Lincoln's cake. That's a famous recipe. And she obviously had seances and things in the
obvious.
White
Yes, most
House. So she was
definitively.
very into it.
Ooh, maybe I could do that one.
Yeah, that's a great one. I actually really liked the vegetable soup too from Waverly Hills. They made it for tuberculosis patients, but it was really delicious. It's all fresh vegetables. Like I've made it now a few times. I've frozen it and put it in the freezer and like reheated it. So that was one I did not expect. I thought it was going to taste very like something you would get in a hospital, but no, it
Right.
was great.
Ooh, all right.
Food
All right.
was
I will
better
try
back
them.
then.
I will take pictures and I will show you my non-burned down kitchen
I would love that.
and say
Please
I
do
did that.
that.
So anyway, so tell everybody where they can find you, where your little corner of the internet is, internet, website, social media, all those things we love so
Yeah,
much.
I'm pretty easy to find. My website is amybruni.com. It's all new. And then you can find me on the social media at Amy Bruni under almost everything. So I've got Instagram, Twitter, or X, I guess, Facebook. I have a TikTok I don't use enough, but yeah, I'm out there.
Me too.
I'm pretty easy to find, but I've got so much coming up with the tour and appearances. And so, yeah, the website's the best way to go.
So yes, go to the website, follow her, like her, go to her events. She's amazing. If you haven't met her
Oh,
yet, she's
thank
amazing. You're
you.
great on stage. I mean, even like at Michigan, you're great. We'll go do a goofy game show, and you're
I'll
funny.
do it. They know I'll do anything too. They're like, throw her on the stage. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, here I go again.
All right.
I should mention the cookbook is available. It comes out July 30th, but it is available for pre-order. So get that pre-order in anywhere books are sold. And if you have like a favorite local retailer, have them pre-order it. But yeah, and I should be doing a book tour. So I'll hopefully be in people's areas. So they can come get it signed.
Yes. So get it. Food to Die For by Amy
Yes.
Bruni. Thank you so much for bringing your magic to the witching hour.
Oh, thanks for having me.